The word filthy hung in the air like smoke from a dying fire, spat from her mother's lips in front of the entire extended family, gathered around the Thanksgiving table in their cramped Boston row house. Brooke's fork clattered against her plate, the turkey slicing knife forgotten in her trembling hand, as aunts and uncles shifted uncomfortably in their seats, eyes darting like cornered animals. 5 months later, those same relatives would slink back into her life with apologies wrapped in tissue paper, humbled by a truth they couldn't ignore. But that November evening, the betrayal cut deeper than any blade, severing the threads of a childhood woven with false promises. Brooke Harlan had always been the golden girl of the Harlan clan, valedictorian at her South Boston high school, the one who volunteered at the local soup kitchen every Christmas, the daughter who called her mother twice a week without fail. At 27, she was a graphic designer for a mid-tier ad agency, scraping by in a studio apartment that smelled faintly of takeout Thai and unfulfilled dreams. But that night, as the cranberry sauce congealed on fine china passed down from her grandmother, Brooke had finally mustered the courage to say it aloud. "Mom, everyone, I'm gay. And I'm in love with Alexis." The room didn't explode. It imploded. Her mother, Evelyn, a stern woman in her 50s with a perm that hadn't changed since Reagan was president, slammed her napkin down like a gavel. "Filthy," she hissed, her voice slicing through the chatter like a winter gale off the harbor. "You've brought filth into this house, Brooke Elizabeth. After everything we've given you, church on Sundays, that good Catholic education, what have we raised? A sinner who parades her shame like it's something to be proud of." Uncle Ray coughed into his fist. Aunt Linda pretended to fuss with the pie, but no one spoke. No one defended her. The silence was the real knife, twisting in Brooke's gut as she stared at the faces she'd known her whole life, now strangers etched with disgust. Alexis Rivera, the woman who'd upended Brooke's world 6 months earlier, wasn't even there to witness it. She'd begged off the invitation, sensing the undercurrent of tension in Evelyn's clipped phone responses, but Brooke had insisted. "It's my family," she'd said, kissing Alexis's forehead in their Beacon Hill coffee shop hideaway. "They'll come around." Alexis, with her sharp wit and artist soul, had nodded but squeezed Brooke's hand a little too tight. At 28, Alexis was a freelance photographer, her portfolio filled with gritty black and white shots of Boston's underbelly, fishermen hauling traps at dawn, murals fading on brick walls in Dorchester. Born to Puerto Rican parents in Lawrence, she'd grown up dodging the other label. But love had made her bold. Or so she thought. That night, after the filthy echoed off the floral wallpaper, Brooke bolted. She grabbed her coat from the hook by the door, the one with the frayed wool collar her father had bought her for her 16th birthday, before the cancer took him 3 years ago, and fled into the sleeting rain. Her phone buzzed with texts she ignored. "Come back, we can talk. You're embarrassing us." She walked the 3 miles to Alexis's apartment, numb feet splashing through puddles that reflected the neon glow of dive bars and all-night pharmacies. When Alexis opened the door in her oversized flannel pajamas, Brooke collapsed into her arms, sobbing words that dissolved into salt and regret. "What happened?" Alexis murmured, guiding her to the sagging couch, wrapping her in a quilt that smelled of lavender and darkroom chemicals. "They hate me," Brooke whispered, her voice raw. "I'm filthy to them. Their perfect daughter ruined." Alexis held her tighter, stroking her hair with fingers callous from camera grips. "You're not ruined. You're mine. And that's enough." But even as she said it, doubt flickered in her chest like a faulty bulb. She'd seen the Harlan family photos on Brooke's mantle, smiling faces at weddings, barbecues, baptisms, and wondered if love could bridge a chasm carved by generations of unyielding faith. The next morning, over burnt toast and black coffee, they made the decision that would change everything. "Let's get out of here," Alexis said, scrolling through her laptop for last-minute flights. "Spain. You've always talked about Granada, the Alhambra, the flamenco, escaping to somewhere warm." Brooke, bleary-eyed and hollow, nodded. "Why not?" Boston held nothing but ghosts now. The harbor where she'd scattered her father's ashes, the parish hall where she'd sung in the choir, the family that had branded her unworthy. A quick liquidation of savings, Brooke's emergency fund, Alexis's gig money from a wedding shoot, bought them one-way tickets to Madrid, then a train south to Andalusia. They landed in a Spain that felt like a fever dream. Olive groves stretching under cobalt skies, the air thick with the scent of jasmine and grilled sardines. Granada welcomed them with its labyrinthine Albaicin neighborhood, whitewashed houses clinging to hillsides like secrets. They rented a tiny casita with terracotta floors and a balcony overlooking the Darro River, its waters murmuring promises of renewal. For the first few weeks it was paradise. Mornings began with café con leche at a corner taberna, where old men in flat caps nodded approvingly at the two women sharing churros dipped in thick chocolate. Afternoons, Alexis roamed the cobblestone streets with her Nikon, capturing the play of light on Moorish arches, while Brooke sketched logos for local artisan shops, her designs infused with the vibrant tiles and wrought iron she now called home. Nights were for each other. Under the stars that blanketed the Sierra Nevada, they'd lie on woven rugs spread on their balcony, Brooke's head on Alexis's chest, listening to the distant strum of a guitar from some hidden courtyard. "I love you," Brooke would whisper, tracing the constellation of freckles on Alexis's collarbone. "You saved me." Alexis would smile, but sometimes her eyes drifted to the horizon, where the Alhambra's red walls glowed like embers. She'd grown up hearing stories from her abuela about exile and longing, Puerto Ricans adrift in a new world, and Spain felt like an echo, beautiful but brittle. Yet the idol cracked early. Emails from Evelyn arrived like storm clouds. "When are you coming home? This phase will pass. Your cousin got engaged. Don't you want to be here?" Brooke deleted them at first, but the guilt festered. She missed the crisp fall leaves, the Red Sox games on the radio, the way her mother used to hum show tunes while folding laundry. "Maybe I overreacted," she confessed one evening, as they wandered the Mirador de San Nicolas, the Alhambra framed perfectly against the sunset. "Their family. Blood." Alexis stopped, her camera dangling from its strap. "Blood doesn't mean they get to define you. Or us." Her voice was steady, but Brooke heard the undercurrent of fear. The same fear that had kept Alexis single for years after a bad breakup in college, when her ex had chosen assimilation over authenticity. Brooke pulled her close, their foreheads touching. "I know. But what if? What if I can't let go?" The question lingered unanswered, as the call to evening prayer echoed from the minaret of a nearby mosque, a reminder that histories intertwined here, just as theirs did. As winter softened into spring, their life in Granada took root. Alexis landed a contract with a travel magazine, her photos of hidden gypsy caves and tapas bars fetching euros that padded their budget. Brooke, inspired by the local ceramics, started a small online shop selling custom prints with Andalusian motifs, azulejos reimagined as modern mandalas. They joined an expat book club at a quirky cafe called La Libreria, where Brits and Americans swapped stories over glasses of Rioja. It was there they met Elena, a fiery Catalan painter in her 40s with a laugh like breaking waves, who became their unofficial guide to Spanish bureaucracy and hidden beaches. Elena saw through them immediately. "You two glow," she said one afternoon, as they hiked the trails above the city, wild thyme crunching underfoot, like the first light on the snowcaps. "Hold on to that." Her words were a balm, but they also stirred something in Brooke. A restlessness, a pull toward normalcy she couldn't name. The betrayal came subtly, like a fault line shifting underground. It started with a letter, not an email. Evelyn's elegant script on linen stationery, postmarked from Boston. "We're worried, sweetheart. Your Aunt Linda says you've shacked up with that photographer girl. Come home for Easter. We miss you." Brooke read it aloud to Alexis over paella at their favorite spot, the words tasting bitter against the saffron rice. "Shacked up," she echoed, forcing a laugh. "Like we're in some 1950s melodrama." Alexis's fork paused midair. "It's more than that. They don't see us. They see a mistake to fix." Brooke folded the letter carefully. "Maybe I should go. Just for a weekend. Show them I'm fine, that this isn't filthy." The argument that followed was their first real one, voices rising in the casita's shadowed kitchen, the air thick with the scent of simmering gazpacho. "You're letting them win," Alexis shouted, her dark eyes flashing. "By going back, you're saying their hate matters more than what we have here. And you're asking me to cut them out forever." Brooke shot back, tears hot on her cheeks. "Like I don't get to grieve what I lost." They didn't speak for 2 days. Alexis threw herself into work, developing film until her hands cramped, while Brooke wandered the Alhambra alone, its gardens a maze of fountains and whispers. The palace, built by kings in exile, mirrored her turmoil, layers of conquest and loss, beauty forged from pain. On the third day they reconciled with tentative touches, a bottle of manzanilla sherry, and promises whispered in the dark. But the seed of doubt had been planted. Summer arrived with a vengeance, the heat wave turning Granada into a furnace. Tourists thronged the streets, their chatter a babble of languages, and the couple's harmony frayed further. Alexis's magazine gig extended, pulling her to Seville for shoots, leaving Brooke to rattle around the casita alone. In her solitude, Brooke reconnected with old friends via WhatsApp, high school pals from the parish, now married with toddlers, posting idyllic updates from Cape Cod vacations. One night, buzzed on vermouth, she called her mother. The conversation was a minefield. Evelyn's voice crackled over the line, laced with that familiar mix of steel and sorrow. "Brooke, honey, we pray for you every night. Father O'Malley says it's a trial from God, but you'll overcome it." "It's not a trial, Mom. It's me. And Alexis, she's good to me. Better than good." A pause then. "That life. It's not for you. Remember your father? He wanted grandkids, a legacy." Brooke hung up, the phone slipping from her fingers. Legacy. The word echoed like a curse. When Alexis returned, sun-kissed and exhausted, Brooke was waiting with a decision. "I'm going home for a week. Just to talk. To make peace." Alexis's face crumpled, but she nodded. "If that's what you need. But promise me you come back." The airport farewell was a quiet agony. Fingers laced until the last call. A kiss that tasted of goodbye. As Brooke's plane lifted off for Madrid, then Boston, she pressed her palm to the window, watching Spain shrink below. A tapestry of terracotta roofs and emerald valleys, the Alhambra a distant ruby. She told herself it was temporary, a bridge to mend, but deep down she feared it was a fracture widening. Boston greeted Brooke like a prodigal son, or daughter in this case, with the sharp tang of sea salt and the rumble of the tea underfoot. The city hadn't changed. The same pigeon-speckled statues in the common, the same harried commuters clutching Dunkin' cups, the same ache in her chest from the cold that seeped through her coat. Evelyn met her at Logan with a tentative hug, her perfume, Chanel No. 5, unchanged since Brooke's prom, overpowering the airport's stale air. "You look thin," her mother said, eyeing her as they drove the familiar route to Southie. "That Spanish food must be all grease and garlic." "It's good, Mom. Really." Brooke stared out at the harbor, waves chopping gray under a slate sky. "How's the house?" "Same as always. Your room's waiting." The Harlan row house was a time capsule. Faded wallpaper with cabbage roses, the crucifix over the mantel, photo albums stacked on the sideboard like sentinels. Uncle Ray and Aunt Linda were there for dinner, along with cousins she'd babysat as a kid, now awkward young adults avoiding her gaze. The meal was pot roast and mashed potatoes, comfort food that stuck in her throat. Conversation skirted the edges, work, weather, the latest scandal at the church bingo night, until Evelyn cleared her throat over apple crisp. "So tell us about this. Alexis." The name landed like a pebble in a still pond, ripples spreading. Brooke set down her spoon. "She's amazing. A photographer. We live in this little house in Granada. Balconies, markets full of spices. It's like a dream." Linda leaned in, her brooch glinting. "But what about family? Holidays? You can't raise kids over there." "No kids," Brooke said softly. "Just us." The room tensed. Ray shifted, muttering about the Patriot season. Evelyn's lips thinned. "We didn't raise you for just us, Brooke. God has a plan, husband, home, children. This phase. It's clouding your judgment." "It's not a phase." Brooke's voice rose, echoing the Thanksgiving ghost. "I love her. And she loves me. Why can't you see that?" "Because it's wrong," Evelyn snapped, her fork clattering. "Filthy choices lead to empty lives. Look at your father. He built something real before he went." The word filthy again, a slap across the table. Brooke's cousins exchanged glances. Linda reached for her husband's hand. The betrayal stung anew, not just from her mother, but from the collective silence, the unspoken agreement that Brooke's happiness was a threat to their fragile peace. She excused herself early, retreating to her childhood bedroom with its twin bed and posters of boy bands she'd never truly fancied. Sleep evaded her. At 2 a.m. she scrolled through photos on her phone. Alexis laughing at a flamenco show, their hands intertwined on a sun-drenched beach in Malaga. Miss you, she texted. This was a mistake. The reply came swift. No. Fight for us. Come home to me. The week blurred into a parade of obligations. Coffee with old friends who probed gently. So Spain? Cool, but marriage? Mass at St. Bridget's where the homily on forgiveness felt like a taunt. A tense family dinner where Evelyn slipped brochures for reparative therapy under her napkin. Brooke resisted, but the pull was relentless. The comfort of shared history, the fear of eternal estrangement. On the fourth day she met Sarah, her best friend from high school, at their old haunt, the Black Rose Pub in Faneuil Hall. Sarah, now a teacher with a pixie cut and a toddler at home, enveloped her in a bear hug. God, I've missed you. Spill. How's the romance novel life? Brooke laughed, the sound rusty. Over pints of Sam Adams she poured it out. The escape to Spain, the love that felt like sunlight, the family's iron grip. Sarah listened, nodding, her eyes soft. They'll come around. Blood's thicker. But you look happy, Brookie. Glowing even. They talked until closing, reminiscing about prom nights and stolen smokes behind the gym. Sarah's husband texted her to come home. Brooke walked alone to the T, the North End's Italian lights winking like conspirators. For a moment the old life shimmered, familiar, safe. Tempting. Back in the row house, Evelyn waited up, tea steaming on the kitchen table. I spoke to Father O'Malley today, she said, patting Brooke's hand. There's a retreat in Cape Cod next month. Women like you struggling with inclinations. It's helped so many. Brooke pulled away. Women like me? Mom, I'm not struggling. I'm living. Evelyn's eyes welled. Then why come back? If you're so content, why tear us apart? The question pierced. Brooke had no answer, only the hollow echo of doubt. She spent the next days in limbo, video calling Alexis each evening, their faces pixelated across oceans. I see it now, Brooke confessed one night, the Alhambra's lights twinkling behind Alexis on the balcony. They want the old me back, the one who fits. Alexis's jaw tightened. And what do you want? Because if it's them over us. It's not. Brooke's voice broke. I promise. But promises fray when pulled taut. On the eve of her flight, Aunt Linda cornered her in the garden, where asters nodded in the chill wind. Your mother's breaking, Brooke. Heart condition, you know? Stress like this. It could kill her. Linda's words were soft, laced with concern, but they landed like accusations. Betrayal not from malice but from love twisted into chains. Brooke boarded the plane with a knot in her stomach, Evelyn's goodbye hug lingering like a shroud. Spain unfolded below as she descended, vibrant, vast. A world away from Boston's gray confines. Alexis met her at the Granada station, arms open, but the embrace felt tentative, shadowed by unspoken fears. You're back, Alexis murmured, burying her face in Brooke's hair. For good, Brooke replied, but the words tasted uncertain. The casita enveloped them like a sigh, but the rhythm was off. Alexis threw herself into a new project, documenting the Romani festivals in Sacramento, her absences stretching longer. Brooke, restless, dove into her prints, but her designs grew angular, fractured, mirroring the Alhambra's intricate Macarnas ceilings, beauty born of fragmentation. Elena noticed at book club, over discussions of Hemingway's Spanish Civil War ghosts. Trouble in Paradise? She asked, pouring more wine. Brooke hesitated, then spilled. The visit home, the filthy echoes, the guilt gnawing like termites. Elena listened, her painter's eyes sharp. Family is a mirror, mi amor. Sometimes it shows distortions. But you choose your reflection. The advice lingered as autumn crept in, leaves turning gold on the poplars lining the Paseo de los Tristes. Alexis and Brooke tried to reclaim their ease. Picnics by the river, salsa lessons in a dimly lit studio where laughter bridged the gaps. But the betrayal simmered beneath. Brooke's divided heart, Alexis's quiet resentment at being the other woman in her lover's loyalties. It boiled over during the Festival of the Crosses, when bonfires dotted the hills and the air hummed with accordions and stomping feet. They'd planned a romantic evening, tapas under the stars, a bottle of chilled Fino, but Brooke's phone buzzed mid-meal. A voicemail from Evelyn. Your cousin Mary's getting married. We want you here. As family. The plea laced with tears unraveled her. I have to go, Brooke said, standing abruptly, her chair scraping the gravel. Alexis's face hardened. Again? After everything? It's a wedding. Neutral ground. It's a trap. Alexis's voice cracked. They're reeling you in and you're letting them. What about us? Am I just the rebound, the exotic escape until real life calls? The words were daggers born of pain. Brooke recoiled. Real life? This is real us here. But they need me. And I don't. Alexis turned away, shoulders shaking. In that moment the betrayal crystallized. Not just the family's rejection, but Brooke's inability to fully choose, leaving Alexis adrift in a love half-anchored. They parted in silence, Brooke booking a flight that night, Alexis retreating to her darkroom. Granada's magic dimmed. The Alhambra's towers now sentinels of sorrow rather than wonder. Across the Atlantic the wedding was a whirlwind of tulle and toasts, Mary radiant in ivory lace, the church bells pealing like judgments. Brooke stood at the back, a ghost in seafoam green, clapping as vows were exchanged. Evelyn pulled her aside during the reception, eyes bright with hope. See? This could be you. With the right person. Brooke's throat tightened. Mom, it won't. I love Alexis. Evelyn's face crumpled. Then you're lost to us. The words were a final severing. Brooke fled the dance floor, the polka dotting the air like accusations, and locked herself in the venue's powder room. Staring at her reflection, freckles stark against pale skin, eyes shadowed. She saw Elena's mirror. Distortions, yes, but also truth. She loved her family, flaws and all. But Alexis was her horizon, her home. She called Alexis at dawn, the line crackling with distance. I'm coming back. For real this time. Fight with me. A pause then. Always. But fate, that capricious Andalusian dancer, had other steps. As Brooke's plane touched down in Madrid, a storm brewed over Granada, literal and figurative. News alerts pinged her phone. Wildfires raging in the Sierra Nevada, evacuations in the hills. Her heart seized. Alexis was shooting in Sacramento, near the flame's edge. The taxi from the airport hurtled south like a bullet, Brooke's knuckles white on the door handle. The driver's radio crackling updates in rapid Spanish. Fuego incontrolable. Evacuations obligatorious. Smoke smudged the horizon as they crested the hills into Granada. The air acrid with char and desperation. Sirens wailed in the distance, a counterpoint to the flamenco guitars that usually serenaded the city. Brooke's text to Alexis went unread. Landed. Where are you? Please be safe. She directed the cab to Sacramento, the gypsy quarter carved into cliffs, its cave houses like hobbit holes glowing faintly in the twilight. Embers drifted like fireflies gone rogue, and firefighters in neon vests barked orders, hoses snaking across dirt paths. Brooke's heart hammered as she scrambled up the slope, dodging locals hauling belongings. Baskets of laundry, icon paintings, a child stuffed bear. Alexis, she called, voice lost in the chaos. At the edge of a clearing she spotted her. Alexis, soot-streaked and fierce, camera in hand, directing a family of 4 toward a waiting truck. Her linen shirt was torn at the sleeve, hair matted with ash, but her commands were steady, laced with that Brooklyn tough Spanish she'd picked up from Abuela's tapes. Vámonos. Rápido. The wind shifting. Alexis. Brooke shouted, pushing through the crowd. Alexis whirled, eyes widening in shock then relief. She dropped her gear and crushed Brooke against her. The embrace tasting of smoke and salt. You came. Always. Brooke echoed, pulling back to scan her face, scratches on her cheek but no worse. I thought. Not today. Alexis cupped her face, thumbs brushing away a tear track. But we have to move. The caves are next. Hand in hand they joined the exodus, helping an elderly woman with her goat, its bells tinkling incongruously. The fire's roar grew, a beast at their heels, flames licking the treeline like hungry tongues. In the frenzy, Brooke glimpsed the fragility of their life here. The casita that could be ash by morning, the prints and photos reduced to cinders. But also its strength. Neighbors sharing water bottles, strangers forming human chains, the community's pulse beating defiant. They reached the evacuation center in the Albayacin by midnight. A school gym transformed into a hive of cots and soup kettles. Elena was there, bandaging a child's knee, her painter's smock singed at the hem. Gracias a Dios, she exclaimed, hugging them both. You too sit. Eat. Over watery gazpacho and bread heels, Alexis recounted the afternoon. The fire jumping from drought-parched scrub, her instinct to document turning to action when she saw families trapped. I couldn't just shoot it, she said, voice hoarse. These people, they're us. Exiles fighting to hold ground. Brooke nodded, squeezing her hand. Like us. The all-nighter blurred. Distributing blankets, translating for English-speaking tourists. Alexis's photos already pinging to news wires via a borrowed hotspot. Dawn broke smoggy, helicopters thumping overhead, dumping retardant like red rain. By noon the wind shifted, the blaze contained to the higher slopes. Cheers rippled through the gym, exhausted but exultant. In the quiet aftermath as crews assessed the damage, Brooke and Alexis slipped out to a nearby mirador, the city below veiled in haze. The Alhambra stood unscathed, its minarets piercing the smoke like promises. They sat on a stone bench, shoulders touching, the world reduced to this. Two women, battle-worn, unbreakable. I almost lost you, Brooke whispered, her voice cracking. And it hit me, home isn't Boston or Granada. It's you. Alexis turned, eyes searching. Even with the family? The pool. Brooke nodded, tears spilling. They're part of me, but they don't get to own me. I choose us. Fully. The kiss that followed was fierce, a reclamation. Lips tasting of grit and grace, hands tangling in hair as the sun burned through the pall. No grand gestures, just the quiet vow of survivors. Word of the fire spread like the flames themselves. Alexis's images, raw, human, went viral. A grandmother clutching her rosary amid the evac, children wide-eyed on a fire truck's running board, lovers shielding each other from sparks. CNN picked it up, then the Boston Globe. Back home, the Harlans watched in stunned silence as their daughter's face flashed on screen, subtitled, American Expat Aids in Spanish Wildfire Rescue. Evelyn's call came 3 days later, as Brooke and Alexis surveyed their casita, miraculously spared, though the balcony view now included charred hills. The roof was intact, the almond tree in the yard singed but budding anew. Brooke. Her mother's voice was small, stripped of armor. We saw the news. You were so brave. Brooke sat on the terracotta steps, Alexis beside her, head on her shoulder. It was nothing, Mom. Just helping. No. It was everything. Pause thick with unsaid. We're proud. And sorry. For the things we said. The filthy. God, I hate that I hurt you. Tears pricked Brooke's eyes. I know you were scared. For me, for the family. We were wrong. Father O'Malley even said, love's love if it's true. Come home sometime? With Alexis. For real. The invitation hung. A bridge extended. Brooke glanced at Alexis, who mouthed your call. Maybe Christmas, Brooke said. We'll see. Humbled, they returned. Not in person but in spirit. Emails followed. Recipes clipped from the Globe, photos of Mary's wedding cake, tentative questions about Granada's markets. Uncle Ray sent a Red Sox cap for Alexis, scrawled note. Heard you're a shutterbug. Shoot some winners. The betrayal's scar faded to silver. A reminder rather than a wound. Winter softened into spring again. The hills greening with defiant wildflowers. Brooke's shop thrived, her designs now incorporating fire motifs. Phoenixes rising from ash, intertwined vines symbolizing resilience. Alexis's book deal came through. Embers of Albayacin, a photo essay on community in crisis, dedicated to Brooke, my anchor and my flame. They marked their first anniversary at the Mirador de San Nicolas, the Alhambra bathed in sunset gold, just as in their early days. Elena joined with her wife Sofia, a quiet librarian with a knack for sonnets, bearing a bottle of Ribera del Duero and a canvas of the two women, painted from memory, fierce, entwined, eternal. To shadows over the Alhambra, Elena toasted, glasses clinking. May they dance, not devour. As stars pricked the velvet sky, Brooke leaned into Alexis, the river's murmur a lullaby below. The journey had been drama etched in fire and frost, betrayals born of love's fierce grip, conflicts that tested the soul's mettle. But in the humanism of it all, the messy grace of forgiveness, the romance of chosen paths, they found their ending. Not a fairy tale but a life richly lived. In the years that followed, Boston visits became ritual. Thanksgivings where Evelyn passed the cranberry sauce with a wink, not a wince. Christmases with Alexis's Puerto Rican eras congandles mingling with Irish soda bread. The filthy word became family lore, retold with rueful laughter, a cautionary tale of fear conquered. And in Granada their casita grew. A studio edition for Alexis's Prince, a garden for Brooke's herbs, roots deepening in foreign soil, yet hearts forever bridged across the sea. Love, they learned, wasn't a straight path through the maze, but the courage to turn corners together. In the Alhambra's eternal gardens where fountains sang of lost empires reclaimed, Alexis and Brooke walked hand in hand, their story a quiet testament to emotion's depths, drama's heights, and the humanistic light that endures.